Saturdays, the 5 o'clock hour is hot on Fit FM 96.7, www.fitfmja.com. Your life, your music with Lady D, Denise Gomez, Inside the Zone. Catch me on Monday at 5 p.m. for the Monday Drive, keeping you in the know in the city you walk, drive, and reside. And on Friday, yes, at 5 p.m. for Center Stage, the platform where voices are heard and people connect. From abroad to yard, Trelawney. Hi, I'm Lady D, Denise Gomez, and I have exciting interview segments and features inside the zone. For recording artists, you can sing? Well, Inside the Zone, second Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. is for you. Writers, share your story, no man, in From the Author's Zone on third Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. Male Zone has unbelievably juicy stories of love, heartbreak, and triumph. 7 p.m. has never been this good. On Mondays, it's news, talk, engaging features at 7 in the Monday Drive. And Center Stage has everyone talking on Thursdays. Be a part of the show. Email me insidethezone@gmail.com or call me 914-304-2592. Celebrate the heartbeat of Caribbean culture with Satideh Mawnin Runnings. Join us on Saturdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube as we showcase the vibrant heritage of Jamaica and the wider Caribbean with 4 incredible women, Sherns, Max, Jackie, and me, Lady D. From powerful stories to cultural traditions, we're bringing the flavor, rhythm, and excellence of the Caribbean straight to you. It's more than a show. It's a celebration of the roots and traditions that inspire and unite us. Subscribe to Inside the Zone with Lady D on YouTube and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn to stay connected every Saturday at 10 a.m. It's Satideh Mawnin Runnings. Come feel the vibes. Satideh Mawnin Runnings, where Caribbean heritage comes alive.
Can you feel the vibe? Give me that beat.
They say it takes 2 to tango. But what happens when the music stops and the dance falls apart? This Saturday at 10 a.m., Satideh Mawnin Runnings dives deep into the raw, unfiltered reality of relationships with the topic Life Unscripted. We're talking about marriage, breakdowns, not just the surface drama, but the real stuff underneath. The patterns, the silence, the unmet needs. Even more powerful, this week we ask, What if divorced couples sat down to unpack what went wrong? Not to point fingers, but to understand. What if we stopped pretending and started talking? Join us for a conversation that's real, that's revealing, and maybe even healing. Saturday, April 26th at 10 a.m. on Satideh Mawnin Runnings. Log on to Instagram at Lady Denise Gomez, Facebook Inside the Zone, Facebook Lady D Denise Gomez, or on YouTube Inside the Zone with Lady D. Let's talk. Hope to see you then. Ta-ta.
Morning. Morning. Morning.
Good morning.
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 Good morning.
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 Insurance is
Good
in our car.
morning.
Here.
He's
I
always
am
on the
mobile.
move.
How are you all doing? A pleasant good morning to everyone. We'd like to welcome you to the show. It is Saturday. I notice people have some challenges saying Saturday. It's Saturday.
Saturday.
Satideh.
Yeah,
Saturday.
otherwise known as Saturday.
Saturday.
Right.
You
Saturday.
Some
can say
communities,
Saturday.
some
Yes.
communities say Saturday,
Yeah, there you go.
Saturday,
Yes.
or Saturday.
Or Saturday.
Yes,
Saturday.
Saturday.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Live Unscripted. I tell you, it promises to be an interesting conversation this morning. If you are just joining us, we would like you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I'm your host, Lady D Denise Gomez Green. With me this morning, we have Patrick, Sharns, Jackie, and Max. And we will be discussing a topic that is common to many people
Like come on,
across
mango.
the world, like common,
Like, come on,
Come on.
mango.
like string.
Like stringy.
Yes, common to many people across the world. As a matter of fact, this topic came about because of a previous show we had, which segued into that, and we thought, not really after much deliberation, but after realizing how impactful that brief moment was, we thought we should take it to you. Now, this is not the most common um, shows that you will find. What you will find is that people will come and share, maybe by themselves, about what happened during their marriage, why it led to a divorce. But invariably, do you find a couple who has been divorced presenting to you, or audience, the challenges they experienced and what ultimately led to what ultimately led up to the divorce. And so um, my co-producer, Evel Green, we prayed over the show last night, asking God to steer the conversation, to let it be one that people will walk away with something. We're not dropping nuggets. These are two people, and I'm introducing Patrick. Jackie is a part of our family, and they were married. And the blessing about this is that they have a good rapport. There is no animosity there. Healing has taken place. And as children of God, that is really where we ought to be.
because sometimes relationships are broken and it's very difficult for forgiveness and healing to take place. So the show is not one that is being staged this morning, simply because we thought, oh, this is just a phenomena. It is not. It is geared toward having you hearing from the voices of people who have gone through their experiences, and they are privileged to be here to share it with you. There's no greater way than we can introduce the topic, life unscripted. Many of us are married, some of us are newlyweds, some are still going through different challenges, and you may be here on your platform and you are, you know, wondering, oh, well, what next? What next? I want to just say welcome to you, and we're going to start the conversation. I usually ask how everybody do.
I am doing
Well,
fine. It was
I am
a
fine
very
and fabulous.
fine. Max, I had to steal your fine and fabulous last week.
Oh, you did, so you have to go pay me for it.
Me
Here's a
borrow it.
charge.
See it here. Take you back. See it here. Take it.
Give it.
I had to I had to borrow it last week. Last week I was fine and fabulous. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm well. Thank God. The week went by very quickly. It's
Oh,
amazing
Lord.
when Monday morning come and you say, Lord, Monday again and so. But by the time Monday gone, it's on wings. It's just gone. It's on steroids.
Yes,
Right? Oh, Lord, sure.
yes.
I tell you.
That's
So,
true. That's true, Shirley. The time is going by so fast that I
Yeah.
am not keeping up with days. When it's Monday, I'm thinking it's Sunday still. It's
Yeah.
going by fast. But I had an awesome week. I can't complain. God's been good to me, and I'm grateful to Him.
yes, and we're so
Oh yes, Max.
congratulations on your recent
We saw
performance.
her performance.
Yeah,
Yes.
but the performance was one. But did you see the strawberry harvest?
Yes,
Yes,
brother.
logs.
I showed
All
it
things,
last evening.
all fruits ripe, down a max.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. I wish I could put some through the phone right now and say, eat some.
Yes,
Not
and I
true.
would just go blend it up and make my smoothie. Although I have some here. So congrats, Max. You're doing your thing. So everybody looking
Thank
well.
you, darling.
As for
Patrick,
me, I'm still sleeping
oh, hush.
because
Oh,
I'm now immersed into full work mode.
Yes, yes.
I
Oh
can't
yeah.
leave
yes.
when I'm leaving work at night. I have a 3 to 11 shift and but when 11:30 3 to 11:30, but when 11:30 comes, the work just began, so last
Oh
night
wow.
Yeah,
was
we know.
no
Yeah.
different. I when I'm coming home at night, especially this weekend, I'm working the weekend, so I'm going back to work tonight. I
Yes.
don't come home until 2:30 in the mornings,
Okay,
so
Oh
gotcha.
wow.
that's my work week.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank
So,
God.
Well, you know what? The one thing I do know about life, you either have it or you don't have it. And what I mean by that, you either have a job and have to work extremely hard, or you don't have one and you suffer financially. So
Same
we
way,
have to
Miss.
weigh them and decide which is
yeah,
which and which we want.
especially in this society.
Yes.
Exactly my point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Patrick, how you do?
I'm good. I'm well. Thank
Nice.
God. I
Thank you for joining us.
absolutely.
We appreciate it. So, before we start our conversation, because we are unscripted, we don't come here with questions. We just talk, and that's a blessing. We
It's a
flow.
conversation.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I have questions
That's all right. So,
this morning.
yes, ma'am. So let's big up to King. King is here. Lord, what a mix
King
up.
come to school early this morning. What you say? King was first in class.
Lord,
Hear him now.
he
Know that
early.
about man and mix up life. Yes.
That's what makes it interesting.
Right. So we just want to welcome everyone. And as we are going through, so King is here and we are saying good morning, good morning. My sissy Jen is here, early as a bird.
Mm-hmm.
Pat is here.
Morning.
And yes.
Hey,
And we're
Pat.
Pat. Good morning to you, Pat. Yes, morning, Pat. And also Anna. Good morning, Anne. What is King saying? Lord, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, my wife, my husband.
That's funny.
That's something. Yes, so everybody's involved. So we want to say good morning to my bona fide Chris Wilby out of Caribbean Vibes Radio, Abdullah, Farouk. I think Abdullah is overseas, Morning to you all, unable to comment as driving. All right. Hey, Abdullah.
Okay. Thanks
How
for joining, nevertheless.
How Queen looks so hot. Hey, I am the counselor. Yes, morning. Also, who else is here? Marie is in London because she went for a run. I think they have 4K, some run going on overseas. So she usually goes. So that's where she's watching us from
So
this.
Oh, so it's afternoon
It's
for
in the
her. That's why she's
afternoon.
saying afternoon. Yeah.
Yes. My good friend
Okay.
Kat, my logistics coordinator for the Penance Homecoming in 2026. Howdy do to you. I'm going to knock me out, you see. So welcome, everyone. Let's start the conversation now. So, hey, Patrick and Jackie are here. They're divorced and they want to share their experience and, kind of drop some nuggets, guidelines, do's and don'ts. How can we avoid some of the pitfalls that people experience in their marriage?
Where do we begin?
Yes, where do we begin? So I was at your wedding. Sharon's, you were there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Sharon's and I were at wedding.
Yeah.
I was the
Host.
the host. Yes. And
Yes.
we've known them a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
We had a nice wedding. And subsequent to that, they also became my neighbors and, fried fish for me. And we have a good, I have to drop that in there.
Yes.
And we were like, things were going well at the onset, but they are the only ones who can share when things started to go awry. Now, we leave you to your own discretion in terms of how much you would like to share and why.
The truth is, you said, and when things started to go awry, if we want to be truthful and open, and if we're here to enlighten and help somebody else, another couple, then I think for the most part, we have to be willing to divulge some of the information that is going to be, paramount in helping somebody else. And I think the truth is, it's not when it started to go awry after the marriage. It's that it started to go awry before the marriage.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I think if we want to be truthful, that's where it started.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that couples need to ask themselves going into a marriage, I think, is, am I ready for this? Am I willing to do this? And honestly, for me, the only reason why I didn't call off the wedding was because everything was already in motion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Patrick felt the same way, but everything was already in motion. I had friends flying in from Florida, all over. My mother was coming in from Jamaica. All of that was done already and in motion. And I just said, let me go along with it and see where it goes.
So
I was not aware of that.
All right. I mean, I'm on the outside looking in, and I've spoken to many a couple who after the fact, like Jackie just said, they had a feeling before, whether they want to call it a premonition or whatever. They kind of had a feeling that something was an impending, not an impending doom, but like everything was not exactly as they would prefer it to be. And I remember many years ago, I did well, I had gotten married young, but then when we were married 10 years, back then it was an in thing to have a second wedding. It was like 10 years, do it over, this and that. I don't know if anybody remember all that, but we actually, although we were 10 years in, we actually went to counseling, and it was like putting the cart behind the horse. But one thing I remember is that because the first time we never had counseling, we just went right into it. We were young and with butterflies and stars was not ceasing to shine, and we just ran right into it. And thank God, we had no issues. But I remember Pastor, we had counseling with Pastor Quarry, and he had said, you know, for us, we still had to do it. He did it as if we weren't married before. And he said it's important to divulge everything about yourself to the person that you're going to be married to. Don't hold anything back, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, and deal with it. If it's something to be dealt with, deal with it from the jump. Don't make a
Yes.
decision on your own saying, well, hopefully it does not become an issue. Because if you sense it might be an issue, the
Then
likelihood
it's going
is
to be
that,
an issue.
yes, when life start lifing,
Yes.
it's gonna come up. And so I have been on my way to a wedding, and I was a few blocks short of the venue, and I got a call saying from the bride was my coworker, and she said, I'm calling it off.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever it
Wow.
was that was in her head, in her mind, what she saw, how she felt, she
Yes.
had been mulling it over, mulling it over. She put one and one together and said, yeah, no, I didn't really I make two, let me. And she called it, I mean, we were dressed, we were blocks away. We literally ended up going to the reception because everything was provided. Somebody had to eat it, but she
Yes.
decided to call it off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So sometimes from the beginning, you have a feeling. And I think that if that feeling exists for couples, who are thinking about it, you should sort of address it,
Yes.
because chances are it's not going to go away and it's going to manifest into whatever the fear is that you have.
Thank you for
Yes,
sharing that.
absolutely.
And thank you for sharing your heart, Jackie, how you felt. So if
Yes.
we were to say, Patrick, what's your
Well, I didn't know that, but I know we were having some blow-ups prior to. And it's funny, I met Jackie at Bronxwood. It was a Caribbean day, and I saw this young lady, and I went over to her table, started talking her up, and then one thing led to another. We became very good friends, and we became two peas in a pod. But at some point in down the road, there was lack of communication and some serious breakdown. But it's the first I'm hearing this, that she was not. She almost called off the wedding, so
yes.
I never knew that.
So as you talk about communication, because we use that word sometimes loosely, not realizing that it's the every detail about what we're thinking, what we feel, what we think needs to be in place, what shouldn't be in place in terms of a marriage now. Are we there yet? Honestly, I believe couples have a fear of opening up that way, because if you feel you're already in the pathway of making that ultimate decision to go to the altar, then one of you going to feel as though I'm going to be disappointing this person, not realizing that it is the right thing to do, to say, hey, this is what I'm feeling, why I'm feeling it. How do you feel? What do you say?
Yeah.
Because most of us are friends with both of you.
Yes.
And so it leaves us in a little difficult situation because we feel like we shouldn't take sides. If something is mentioned to one and another mentioned to another, you find that you don't have really the capacity, because sometimes people don't want to filter themselves into your
Yes.
relationship.
Yeah.
And it was just
Absolutely.
this Thursday, we aired a clip on the show about being absorbed into another person's emotions.
Yeah.
So rather than getting involved like that and feeling overwhelmed, we say, you know what, make them manage it on them own.
Yeah.
Which is not sometimes
Okay.
That's
best
right.
approach, but
Exactly.
it is true, because if you don't know how to help somebody handle the thing, then you are going to become burdened by it and still not able to steer them in the right path.
Yeah.
Okay, if I
So,
may make a point here, lady,
yeah.
sorry, but I'm itching to speak because when Norman and I were getting married, we got counseling before because we got married in a Seventh-day Adventist church, and that's a system. That's how they do it. They do not marry a couple unless they go through counseling.
We did
You
that
don't have
too.
to be having a problem before or after. They just counsel you generally. You have to open up. Each party has to open up and say their part, whatever issue you might have, and how they feel about each other. So we got about 4 or 5 sessions of counseling. They do different topics, different subject matter, and they counsel you deep. Right now, we have friends. To address what Lady D just said about being friends of both parties. We have a friend. We have a couple who's friends of both of us. The wife is friends to us, and likewise the husband. We knew the husband before the wife because we met the wife through the husband, right? And right now they're divorced. And during the time when they were having issues, before it came to the actual divorce, it was an issue for us because we felt like, I think the wife felt that we were taking side with the husband felt the same way. And it was just an issue for us to deal with because we were all along this friends together. So all of a sudden we felt like we were separated and felt like we were taking side. It was very confusing for both of us because we didn't want to be in malice with anybody because that's not how it was originally. But it was just difficult to handle.
Yes.
And even today, even though they're separated or they're divorced, not separated, but divorced, and the husband has remarried, the wife has not remarried, it is still an issue because we're still friends with both of them. And, social media have a way of information going out, even when it's not posted there, it goes out. People know what's going on. They know who you're out with or who they see you with. And it still bothers both parties that we communicate with both of them. So it can be tough when you're friends with both parties and you have to figure out how to fix that, but it's what it is.
So here is where I think it all began then, based on Jackie's disclosure. Because if she felt that way and felt she could not say it to Patrick, that was also a weight that you would be carrying. Knowing that you had reservations about it. And I think maybe looking back now, you would say to yourself, I should have said something. What do you say, Jack? You're muted.
Things were said indirectly, like there might be an argument, something might pop up. And it didn't take much for Patrick to get angry about something. It didn't take much. I may say something in a joke, and he'll say to me, what's joke to you is death to me. And I'm saying, if I can't joke with you and you are my partner, you're my husband, who am I going to run a joke with? And I was that kind of, and that those little things broke me because I was that kind of person. I was a touchy-feely. I've always been a touchy-feely person. And he would say that him go and tell pastor, say me touch up too much, me touch too much, and these kind of things. And I say, I can't be myself because that's me. That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you now telling me that what's stroke to you is death to me. It sounds like a bar talk. You know, I mean, I'm just colloquial, you know, using that. But those little things affected me. And it was really hard to communicate certain things because, you know, for peace of mind, you just hold back. And the person that I was before, Lady D, before I actually came back in the church, was somebody who I just tell you like it is and it's done.
Right.
You know, and I found myself became very passive when I went back to church because it's like you're threading a fine line and people are going to judge you. People are going to say that but you have to be this because Christ said that and whatever. But the thing is, you're trying to tread this Christ line on your marriage. It's like a push and pull. I can't explain it, but it's really hard.
So you found yourself.
You want to be you, Jackie. In other words, you want to be you because I am like that. So I like to be me. I don't want to live false. You know, and sometimes Norman look at me and say, you're too out order, you're a big woman, we are wine up for whatever the case may be. So that's me. I don't want to pretend that that's how I'm stiff. I'm not stiff. I am very open. I am very loud. The world knows that. And that's just who I am. And I don't want to pretend to be when I'm not. That's me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you know, in essence, you know, Jackie's right, because I used to find myself
it's okay. We understand.
Yes, take your time.
And that's very normal. That's very normal, Patrick. That's very normal.
All right, pull yourself together while I jump in. We have to be naked, both physically and emotionally, with our partners. You understand?
Yes.
So therefore, everything is full disclosure. And I know that as human beings, the human element is that we may feel like generally based on how we were raised, our belief system, and so on. We're brought up, as we would call it. We would think some things were either taboo or some things were better left unsaid, or this is about me, hold it down right here, so, and I'll let it come out. But it is very freeing when you are able, if nobody else in this world, your partner is somebody who should see you unveiled. Completely no clothes, whether physical clothes or emotion, nothing, bare, stripped, naked, nude. You have to be able to be that way, and that is why marriage and marriage relationship is a beautiful thing, because the person you're with, them can't see you in your good times, your bad times, when your hair no comb, when your face no wash, when you're hungry, when you're mad, when you're happy. They see you with nose knot a rundown. They see
and
you
I was ready for that. I was ready for that. That's what I was ready for, because I grew up in a home with my grandparents, and they didn't have anything. They were poor. But I saw that love between them that lasted for 50 years. And that was one of the first things I presented when we went to counseling with Pastor Quarry. I asked him directly, I said, are you ready for what I'm ready for? Are you ready for this? Because I'm coming from a household where I grew up with my grandparents, and they were married for 50 years. It was death that separated them. And everybody thought that my grandmother would die before my grandfather because she was a sickly one. And he took excellent care of her. And he died before her. And when he died, she cried night and day to go home to be with her husband.
Oh boy.
Literally said it out of her mouth. She would hear her crying, and she said, I want to go be with my husband.
Mm-hmm.
This is a man she's been with and married to from she was 16.
Wow.
So let us step
Yeah.
back. So, Patrick, we realize that you are struggling because, as you know, it's a vulnerable space, and you know it requires a lot for you to process. So, we understand. But if I want to know how you met,
Oh, we met at church. I met
You said it
At
to
the
her.
Caribbean,
yeah, but
Day.
we had a Caribbean day, and she was
I was there.
gorgeous, and my eyes were glued onto her like Henkel glue. And
remember
I
him?
went over to her table. She was selling those perfumes, cologne, the oil cologne. And then her sister Charm was there. And Charm say, so she's
And
single,
mom,
she don't have nobody, she looks smutty. So I say, really? Just like that? And her mom was like, yes, she's single. And
they
she
were
has
always
on this
trying to
nice
find me
broad
somebody.
hat. And she was like, yeah, I mean, and she was like, she's like, man, I no time for no man right now. Leave me alone, sir. She was kind of done me. So I'm like, okay. She said, yeah, interview everybody table and I'll come interview me. So what you want with me, sir?
Oh,
So I was like, okay. I like that. She has some kind of good vibes I was getting.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go up on the mic now and I peer big up, Jackie. I peer she alone. Everybody I say, weird. What happened? Only Jackie a big up. I'm like, hey, that might be my wife. You never know. And
Oh
we
Lord.
decided to exchange numbers and we went out. It was those were the happiest time. I introduced her to my sister. Nadine loved her, other family members, and it was just a happy times. I mean, I remember one time I went down to Grand Concourse and I said, Jackie, me don't like where you living now. So I mean, I'll come down there because don't look like it's Gaza. So she was like, sometimes you hear bullets flying. I'm like, what? But we had some wonderful times, and the good times were really good. And even before we got married, Jackie know what I do as event planner, and she emerged herself into what I was doing. And I was very impressed with that because, if I'm going somewhere, she want to come and help me. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then, of course, Pastor Corey said, well, never heard I get married, okay, church people. And we start chat. Because
So how long?
at that point, I didn't like where Jackie was living. So me tell her, I said, look, my girl, you have to move in with me. Big, bold move. And I'm like, who tell me to do that? Jackie was like, you sure? I said, well, we'll get married, so why not? And we lived in a duplex. So, we weren't in the same,
Right.
room
Okay.
and stuff. So Pastor Corey,
it so happened that the man had an extra room.
yeah, on the other side. So it was
because it was one room that he was going to rent to Patrick. And Patrick asked me to come and look at the place and see if it was okay. I said, yes, it's a nice place. You can rent it, you have your own space, and then there's a nice bathroom and whatever. So I said, yeah, I'm looking for somewhere. I wonder if he has any more rooms on this building.
Right.
Right.
And that's how I asked him if he had. And he said no at first. And then he went to your job and told you a few days later that he has another room. If I wanted it, I could get it. That's how we ended up in the same house before we were married, because I needed somewhere to move to. I didn't have any. I had to move from where I was because my son's godmother and I lived in the same house, and she had to move to Florida because her parents were, getting older and they needed help, and she had to move to Florida. So I had to find a place. Because the man from the building there was some exchange in ownership, and that also we had to move.
Okay. And what I noticed is that when I would, be co-hosting with Patrick on his radio show, he had your studio was somewhere, I don't remember
in the
where.
house.
No, before that.
Oh.
Down somewhere or another. I don't remember where now. And I noticed that, when the show is going on, he's always a big up Jackie and so on. So in my head, I'm like, how this a person name I call up so often. I realized something was, kind of going
Something
on.
was into something, yeah.
Yes, because everybody to call up name and thing. But what I wanted to find out is how long did you actually date?
I think it was what is it? About more than a year,
Okay.
right?
But
Yeah,
before
we
we
got
we
married.
told no.
No?
We
Well,
were dating for like 3-4 years.
yes, right, exactly.
It was
Because
going on for that long.
right, and
Because
of course, Pastor Corey was like, "Well, I think it's time now." Yeah, so we were actually dating for a long time.
So okay, which is why I want to now delve here into this. If you were dating for so long, what were your conversations like? Were you really prying into each other's lives? Who wanted to disclose more? Who didn't want to disclose enough? Because in that space of that's a long time
yeah,
leading up to your ultimate.
yeah, and one of the reasons too why it went on for that long is because every time we came to a point where we would say, okay, we're going to do this, something always happened, and I pull back. I pull back because I'm saying, when I was outside, I would have made a decision like that. I would make a U-turn and I'm out the door. I don't care.
Right.
But I'm in a different space. I'm with a minister. I'm in the church, and it's not going to look good. And what people are going to say or whatever. Maybe I was reading too much into that. I don't know, but I just thought that, okay, everybody is saying pray about it. You need to work things out, and it can work out. When I was seeing things that were not kosher.
Right.
There was infidelity. Patrick should be honest about that.
Okay. So even with that, did you both say let's go for counseling then?
Well, I was sent to counseling. I went to.
He didn't want to go.
No, I did. At first, I was rebelling. Of course, I can say that we had a lot of intense moment on my part. Not really Jackie. Jackie, I am always finding something to nitpick about, and then she and I turned her into this different person, and I agreed that I contributed more than she did. So Pastor Quarry decided, look, you need to go and see counseling for your anger and your outbursts.
Right.
So he sent me to Reverend Dean Brown, and I was with Dean for a couple of months. Well,
you mean a few days? You didn't go for a couple of months. You didn't want to go.
It was a month. I went for a month. Actually, it was a month, and then I didn't go back.
Okay. And
so it was individual counseling as opposed to I can see if they would do individual but together as well.
Yes. So
because sometimes they may want to get the lay of the land then from one person, but then invariably I think they have to come together.
Yes,
I'm just saying.
After I'd finished my reluctantly did my counseling, we went back to see Dr. Quarry, and he sat us down, and then of course Jackie started to outline that some certain things, and how I'm always it's like I have this great anger issue, and so Pastor Quarry was counseling us at that point, and he asks Jackie, where do you go from here?
And I said to him, as for me, there will be no marriage. I actually said that to Pastor Quarry, and he was shocked because he didn't expect to hear that. Not even Patrick was expecting to hear me say that. Patrick, he asked Patrick, how is everything? And Patrick said everything was fine. And when he turned to me, he said, I said, Pastor, as for me, there will be no marriage.
So this was during the counseling before marriage, then, Jackie?
So the counseling, and he said, what happened? And I pulled out a stash of stuff that I uncovered. And I laid them out before him, and even tapes, I played them right in front of him and Pastor Corey. Because I must be honest, Patrick always say I'm like an investigator, but when I see things are not going my way and I can't get answers, I'm going to find the answers.
Right.
Yes.
That was my job. I worked in an investigative, it might not have been investigating crimes or whatever, but I worked in research, clinical research.
Right. Yes.
So I had to find
you
the
know what to
answers.
do.
Yes. So let's take a pause. Would like to welcome everyone to the show this morning, live Unscripted. Patrick Tyson and Jackie Francis, they were married and they're now divorced. And they have agreed to join us here this morning and to share some reasons why their relationship broke down and why they got divorced. And as it is coming across to all of us, it tells us that one, when we are in a relationship with someone, we should not, to the best of our ability, withhold what we feel. What is that sixth sense? What is the Spirit of the Lord? Because we are Christians. And not to go through something like this, it's a covenant relationship. God ordained it. So if we're going to be taking a vow, because I'm newlywed, but man, have I been around people. And I think that I pay a whole lot of attention and ask questions.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're going to make a step like this, it is of a certainty that, yes, this is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. I should not be entering it with no if and buts or no decision like, oh, Lord, all those things. So I know, let us just take some quick comments and then we can regroup in a second. So Marie says, I know someone who got married last week and she went through with her wedding that was called off prior. She did so because the wedding was paid for and the money being non-refundable.
For us, we didn't have much money. So whatever we had, we poured into it. So that was one of the reasons why I'm saying, I couldn't just call this off. And then people were really so looking forward to it, coming from Jamaica, Florida, Canada, and all of that.
Yes.
And we because of what I do, and of course we planned it together. And so it didn't really cost us much, but I mean, everybody was willing to really pitch in.
Yeah.
One of the things that really, excuse me, I know I never really treated Jackie well. I honestly can say that. Jackie, after when she left, I went into depression because I allowed somebody good to walk away. I remember when she told me that there are times when she was in the shower and just crying, and I'm like, but she never shared that to me till when the time got heated, and then I felt really I was at a low. I'm like, my mother would be ashamed of me to know that I would treat somebody this hurtful, and it was really, really, really bad. I can tell you, I still have our rings are still here. Jackie bought my ring, and I have her wedding band. She fling them, give me hers. Right. She was really pissed off and mad, but I kept them. I kept them. I said they're not going to be pawned or nobody's going to wear them. They're my souvenirs. But as I said, I have learned that hurting people hurt others. When you're hurting.
Okay, I was going to say that hurt people.
Hold on, Jackie. Let him finish.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Patrick.
So, because Jackie was everything and then some, and even my sister Nadine was like, "Man, you're really a fool because I don't know what was going on in my head, but it was just a lot. And I had had some regrets and some disappointments in my life. And I realized that in order for change to take place, you have to make yourself available to change. And God cannot change you if you're not willing to change. And so sometimes, when things are pulled away from us and taken away from us, that's when we have to come to the reality that, look, I have to change this about me.
Yes.
As I said before, Lady D knows that. She's always counseling me also. And I thank her for that, because I remember I used to lash out on the radio, and she used to tell me, if that's where you're going to be, I don't want to associate with you no more. Because if people hurt you, you can't just come on the radio and fling words, because then that is destroying your character. And
Yes.
you don't know who is listening.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I had to pull
Very
myself
important.
together.
Yes.
And
Those are little
get it
things.
get it
Those are
together.
little things.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I believe that, I change has taken place, because, I have some things have been even said about me recently or down the road. And, I thank God for you too, Lady D, because you're always giving me advice to say, look, Patrick, just don't answer to everything. Because people just
Yes.
And I tell that to Patrick too.
say something and then they run with it.
Yeah.
And even when you
Yes.
also, other people are saying, I saw you go, because they must say, same
Yes.
stay my ways,
They
guys.
add to it. They add to it.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
They do.
so Jackie,
Yeah.
I have a
Jackie
question.
is,
1
and
second, Max.
Jackie was and
Okay.
still is the best person that ever came in my life, because she helped to push me to go further, and to even help me with the business that I'm doing, and make sure that it's flourish. And when it comes in well. She invests her own money. Even when tax time come, she would come and just push a little thing in my hand. I'm like, yo, good woman, this, and I'm like,
Because she's your helpmate, she's your
yes,
wife. And I
Yeah.
believe that if a person honestly knows, and Max, after I just mentioned this briefly, then you can flow with it. But if a person honestly knows, and I think that's our greatest challenge, being honest with ourselves. We can deflect, we can come up with all kind of reason why we don't do some things, why things aren't the way they are, and we can make it sound so plausible and people just receive it. But if we know that at the core of us, it's like how we talk about in the Christian world, generational curses. And if we see a child manifesting in a certain way, we can say, you see that one over there saying coming just like my great granny.
Mm-hmm.
So there are certain things in our lives, in our DNA, that if we know that this thing seems to want to take me over, especially when you're coming together with another person, it needs to be dealt with. It
Yes,
is not
ma'am.
going to go out anywhere
Yes, it has to be dealt with, and swiftly.
Yes.
swiftly.
Yes.
Very swiftly.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
If you get to a point where you know your personality, you know that this is, so you have a short fuse. You know you're easy to get bent out of shape and so. But if you have been managing that on your own, because I was not a grown up when I got married. I have to say I wasn't a grown up. So all me learn stuff is by me always say me and Ralph grew up together, each other together, along with his siblings who are all older than him and so on. So I thank God, because everybody need a village, But if you find that whatever the situation is with you, whether it's a pet peeve, whether it's a trait, whatever it is, if you find that it is negatively affecting your
Yes.
partner, negatively affect, I always tell people, I not say not people in general, but like sometimes when somebody want to call it quits, somebody want to make a decision, should I do this, should I do that? I always say get a piece of paper, because you want to visualize certain things. Write in a column, make 2 columns. One, How is this going to positively affect me? Yes or no? What are the deal breakers? Then you can look at it, whether you get 10 points for yeah and 2 points for nay, but whatever. You look at it, and if you see which one outweighs the other one. So if you see say you have a good thing, you know from her to ever say me have a good thing. Other people are telling us say you have a good thing. If you realize say you go over here, so you buck your foot, you not go back over there. You try your best. You have to
Yeah.
tamper. You have to tamper down your own. You can't be. You can't keep hitting your head against a brick wall and expect say, okay, you now get a quokka the next time. Last time I get a quokka, the time before I get a quokka, but somehow this time, me not, because after a while, you're gonna be immune to the getting the quokka, and you're going to keep doing it. And in the
Yeah.
meantime, the person who is all that and a bag of thing, you see me look upon life, life is a marathon, It's not no quick sprint, it's a
Yes.
marathon. So when you are on your way, you have the one life to live, God give us 10, or you go 6 core and 10, whatever it goes, 70 years. And if we go beyond that, well, to him be all the glory. But while you're going towards whatever you're going towards, make sure that you not negatively affect the other person. And if God gives you somebody in your life to help you up, God knows us and He knows what we need. You
Yeah.
might be stronger in this way and you help me on this side. I'm over here. And if Jackie come and him catch your vision, Patrick, she catch your vision and she a push you and she
And I loved it.
she a mellow you. I was observing y'all.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Yes.
saw you.
And
You
they
was
look
doing your
good
thing. You know,
doing it together.
And it
yes,
started
and
growing.
I
I s-
admire that. That's
Yeah.
how. Look here, we are not. We This is hindsight, and it's 2020. So we're not going to beat flag a dead horse. But the thing about it is that I've known couples who because one is, we're all we immigrate to this country, and you may have the wife may have come first or the husband come first, or by a stroke of God's, me now say, look, God's grace and mercy in one direction, you are in the right place at the right time, you get a right break. It's for the family. You know what got envy the one, it's your wife. A night time on the lay down on the pillow, so the two looking at one face. It's the one life. So you have to you have to try to complement each other. And if you know that you are doing something that is affecting the other person, you have to take a more, don't be too busy so that you cannot see what the other person is feeling. Because if Jackie have to tell you, say, well, I was crying in the shower, you should have even can look on her and say, our countenance is not what it
Yes.
ought
Change.
to
Yes,
be.
that's true. That's true.
You,
I
you
agree
supposed
with
to
you,
Yeah.
can
Shirley.
feel the vibe.
Yes,
So let's
absolutely. If I look upset, all right, if I'm not chirpy and look upset, now I'm an observe it instantly. Instead
yeah.
walk and see how
Mhm.
you look from. That's how he is.
Yeah.
He's very
Yeah.
observant of
But
me.
Jackie never
He
she
knows
always
the
have
chirpy
this
person I am.
happy-go-lucky spirit just the same. But then that happened during when COVID, when we had an altercation here. And she said to me that, you don't even know that there are many days because the intimacy has broken down. I
Right.
mean,
Mm.
me and Jackie and knock pang long time before we get married. I'm not afraid to tell nobody that because
Right.
me not buy pussy in a bag.
Yeah, all
Tell-
right.
I'm
All
gonna tell
right. All
Pastor
right.
all
Curry.
right, all
Don't take
right.
us too far now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, say transparency.
No, we
Yeah,
nice.
we understand. We understand.
Exactly.
We understand.
Yeah.
Right, right. Okay,
Yeah.
well,
But
we were
Yeah.
married now, so then it's become null and void.
Right.
Right,
but the thing
right.
is that broke down completely. And
Yes.
it was like, where did all that go? And the comments and the words, the insults, the put down, that kind of thing, it brought me to the point where a friend of mine who I've known for over 30 years, she came to live right next door to us, Stacy. And Stacy looked at me immediately and said, Jackie, this is not you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
She looked at me and said, this is not the Jackie that I know. She said, the Jackie that I know is not passive in certain things. You're forthright and strong. And she said, there's something, I didn't even tell her what was happening. But because of one day when Patrick walked in, Stacey and I were in the kitchen and I had made some steamed fish. And she asked me, she went and bought the fish. She's a nurse practitioner. And she was moving from upstate and she needed someplace. She came to my graduation party when Keisha Cargill had that graduation party for her and I, because we graduated at the same time. When she got her doctorate, I got my bachelor's. So she had a party at the house, and she I just got in touch with Stacey again, and she showed up like she just surprised me. And at the same time, when she told me that she was looking for a place, and it so happened that the landlord had an extra apartment. So I put her on to him, and she became our neighbor. And she and I were in the kitchen. She bought some fish. I made some steamed fish. And she said, this one, I'm going to leave until later. But Patrick came and claimed the fish. And when she came in, I actually told him that it was hers. You know, she just asked me to put it in the fridge. And she was there for lunch the following day. So I just warmed up the fish and gave it to her because she was hungry. And he came in and saw us eating, and he just blew up and said, I could have never my fish that she eat, and something like that. And it was nasty. And it, you know, she just looked at me, and from that day, she never came back over to the house. So, because she didn't like that. She said, that was what pretty much she was saying, this is what I saw in you, like something had changed in you. This is not
because if you I understand what you're saying, Jackie, because I have seen it in other persons who ultimately went the way you both have gone. And it's, you know, you were vivacious and you were out there and you're nice and thing and you have rule, but you get deflated because after a while, if you try and you buck up and you try and you buck up, after a while you're gonna be like this. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then you're not going to be exactly yourself. At least you're not. That's the beginning of the end, when you can't be yourself with your partner. Because like I was saying before, it's life. You're doing life together. It's a life sentence to not do together. So you are doing life together. So therefore, you want it to be, you don't want to be walking on eggshells. You don't want to be towing a fine line.
No.
We can all to a fine line to some degree, you know, but it cannot be on a permanent basis in your life.
Yes.
You must be able to let your hair down.
Yeah. So let me say this here now. We all have experiences in life. When Evel and I went to Pastor Pierce for counseling, it was so good. And I'm not talking how he's saying, oh, I'm just so happy that you're both here before me and that you're going to be married. None of that. I remember he demonstrated to us about triggers.
Yes.
He used some little demonstrative pieces. Here is a house. Here is the other house. Within that house is a person and a dog. The same thing in this house, a person and a dog. So you happen to come over all the time over to this house, and all was well. You and the dog, him jump up, you know, playful and thing. And one day now, you happen to come by and the dog suddenly start growling and carrying on. And I'll jump up on you. But the person in the house, the person who owned the house, no say, Lord, me so sorry you need me to carry you, go a doctor and bite you. Nothing. Whatever that is, these are just scenarios now. So puffy, and you leave. You know, come back. The situation is left over there. But you come over to this house and man, they welcome you and all is well. The dog lay in your lap, the dog are doing thing and you and the dog happy. Again, suddenly something happened. And you're like, oh, what happened with the dog? Me over here for months and the dog just react to me. Why? So you know, suddenly, what is your trigger? You
Yep.
remember what happened over here, so.
Mm-hmm.
And you and the owner never really sort it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all right then, whatever. So you are saying, but imagine I left over here and come over here now and things are right. And all of a sudden your memory goes back to your
Mm-hmm.
original encounter.
Yes.
So many of us are walking around with a ton of stuff unresolved,
Oh,
and we are
yes.
carrying it from place to place.
Yeah.
To place,
And
Mm-hmm.
yes.
at some point, there's going to be a similarity or an identical situation
Yeah.
that
That is called
triggers you.
baggage.
That
That is
limits.
Yes.
baggage.
You. So, what it is ultimately saying, if you have unresolved things,
You
please
have
to
to fix it.
ensure that you fix them, because
Yes.
you might be over here and the owner may have had the capacity to manage where you do and so on, but something happened and you just say, you know what, me done. Me now go back over there so and see me. I just say hold on the tan and all of those kinds of
Yes,
things.
yes,
So
Things,
you
yes.
yes.
still
True.
have them. We still have things bottled up
Yes.
that we have
Yes.
not taken care of.
Yeah.
And we can
Unresolved.
be under the assumption that we are fine.
Unresolved stuff.
No, you don't
And
find
Can
at
I
all.
say
Yes.
something?
You're
Can I
far
say
from
something?
fine.
it only
Yes.
takes a little to
Yeah.
set it
For
off.
break, for it to
Yes.
set off. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well,
And
that
that's why
Can
it's
I
very
say
important.
something? I'm not gonna sit here and say that Patrick was completely every single day a bad person. I'm
No,
not gonna say that.
we
I'm not
not
gonna
say
say
that.
Patrick is. That's why it hurt me so much, because Patrick is a very loving person.
Mm-hmm.
He can be very affectionate and very loving person. I like people who are affectionate and loving. And I see him cry. There are times when Patrick would just sit down. He might be watching something on TV, might not, and he might just sit down and tears just falling down his face.
Mm-hmm.
And I would go over him and I would ask him, what is going on? Just open up to me. Just tell me just about anything. I'm here for you. You know, just you can talk to me about anything. And if there's any way I can help you, I am here. Just tell me what's going on. But I think you just mentioned something. You go back into into your memory box, and you hear them say hurt people. If there's hurt I'm talking about from even way back in your life, even from childhood, even from teenage times until you're grown up, it can come back and it can affect you to the point
Yeah.
where it affects your life. It
Your
Yeah.
affects
relationship.
your
Yeah.
relationships. It
Yeah.
affects
True,
your
Jackie.
marriage. And even if you're not unaware of what's going on, it's affecting you and you don't know because you did not resolve
Deal
it.
with it.
You
You
did
didn't
not
deal with
get
it.
you didn't deal with it. And I'm not
Yeah.
talking about when you say going to counseling. I mentioned to Patrick one time, I said, you need to go see a psychologist.
Right.
I said, the insurance that I have at my job, even before we were married, I put Patrick on that insurance. And it was good, really good, because I worked at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, really good establishment to work for. And the psychologists, there's psychology consultations in that insurance. I said, you can go see a psychologist. It is paid for. You can go, I can make the appointment. You can go see, I don't have to be there. Just go and open up to the psychologist, because there are certain things that the psychologist will figure out or get out of you that
Or they
a
can help. Or
church,
they can help you. They can help you navigate those
yes,
feelings or
that
whatever.
a church counselor cannot
No.
bring out unless they're a
No.
licensed psychologist. They
Yeah.
can only counsel you into the local part of it, whatever is happening now and your relationship here in the community. But a
Yeah.
psychologist is going to go into your brain and they are going to
Yes.
Yes.
help you to spill everything out,
Yeah, man.
express
Clinical.
yourself,
Clinical. You need the
clinical,
clinical.
clinical
Yes,
way.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Patrick was
Yes.
mad at me. He said, after I'm not mad. Mr. Psychologist, a psychologist is not for
Nothing to
mad
do with
people.
mad.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that's all
No.
we, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, when you're ignorant, it's you can't help it. Yeah.
But I was trying to enlighten you. A
Yeah,
psychologist
but
is not
Yes.
for
Jackie,
mad people.
so the
I said,
thing is, so I know you are trying to help him, but
yeah,
he was not in
He
that
wasn't saying
space.
it that way.
no,
No,
no.
he
Jackie know
I
wasn't
have
that.
a
in that
question.
space. He was not in that space. And if I were to ask Patrick now, and if you're just joining us, this is the most vulnerable show we have ever had.
Hard. Yeah. Yeah.
And they both agreed. Patrick and Jackie are now divorced, but they both agreed to be here with us this morning. I know some of you on here are divorced. Some of you are going through some troubled relationships, and some of you feel you can't bother. This would
Mm.
not look for you. It looked too hard. And there are a myriad of reasons why a lot of people will tell you they don't want to get married. They just see the relationships
All
that
the
are,
negatives. Yes.
the negative
Yeah,
part.
what it is,
And it becomes a turn off.
some people are not willing to put in the work. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? You have to put in the work because that is why I have, and this is all me right here being very vulnerable and open and honest. I have an issue with persons saying, oh, we've been married for 30 wonderful years.
Hasn't been that
No,
way.
no, not go so.
All the years
Not
are
true.
not wonderful.
Of course not.
No, they're not.
You're not,
no.
and I
Absolutely not.
am very, yes, I am very
That's why I wanted
careful.
you here today, Sharon's. I wouldn't
Yes,
do the show
well,
if Sharon's wasn't going to be.
yeah, man. I am
Yeah.
sneaking out of an
No,
event right
there's no
now,
such thing
myself.
as wonderful.
I've been out here for a
There's
while.
a lot
But
of
anyway, what I'm saying is that we have to be truthful because you're navigating life. You know what I mean? You don't know what's going to happen next week, next month. You don't know what's going to happen at this age. You don't know which gene may I carry that might give me a disease where I go affect the marriage. You know, that's why we always tell people if the person is luscious, whether the man luscious or the woman luscious, you
Mhm.
can't go off of that alone. You need
No,
substance. You know,
no.
if you know
absolutely.
you're right, if you know you have a sense of humor, you want your funny bone tickled, get somebody who can tickle it for you every now and then because you know you can't live your life as a sourpuss. But at the same time, don't walk
Yes,
around when you've been
Karen.
hanging in there and married for a while. Don't say it's been 40 wonderful years
No.
Wonderful.
when you know say
Because it's not
5 of
true.
them was a struggle. Or you know
Yeah.
say year
Yes,
year 1 to 10 you did good, but from 10 to 20 you did rocky, and couple time you fling one plate and you did want come out, or
Jackie is
couple
good at
time you
flinging
did dash
plates.
where
yes.
Jackie
one
good at
scooter
flinging
Because
things.
enclosed.
because you know what, Sharon? That's the reality of life. Because
It's
we're
Janet,
good,
humans
yeah.
first, and that's the
Janet,
reality of life.
Yes.
There's a
can I tell
question
you
I
this,
want to pose
ladies?
before I forget.
Jackie is
Go
no
ahead.
saint. Jackie
I've been
Jackie
trying
a
to
bad
pose this
woman
question.
because even when we go even if I go out and somebody want to act like they want to come diss me, she defend that. And I'm like, yo, she
Okay.
fling plate, she fling buckle. Hey, a buckle nearly bust me head.
Trust me.
Because we're
Max,
human. We're
Max,
human.
Max, I know you wanted to say something, so go ahead.
Go ahead, Max.
For the longest, I want
Yes.
to ask the question because
Yeah.
and this question is for Patrick, and I'm
Mhm.
not trying to pry it enough to find out your age, but what age were you when you got married, Patrick?
I am 52 now. I don't do what when again?
Patrick was just 4 years younger
Yeah,
than me.
yeah,
We're
she
4
was
years.
older
How
than
old,
Jackie
how old
was.
were you? Were you over 40
We
or were
were,
you
Yeah,
40,
I was
under
in my
40?
40s, yeah. Because Jackie
yeah.
was older
And the
than
reason
me.
why I asked this question, I've listened to Think and Grow Rich, because Think and Grow Rich is a book, but it's also an audio, and we have it in the car now and then when we drive, travel long distance, we to put it and we listen to it over and over. And the author says that men in general don't mature until they're 40 and above. Most of them never get settled down until 40 and above. And they tend to be on the rare side, the happy-go-lucky type of a lifestyle. So it's hard for them to settle down before that age. And that's why I asked the question. And my next question is, who initiated the divorce?
Me.
Jackie. She
Me.
And the next
I was in the
question,
kitchen.
the next question.
Hold on. I remember, as
Go
I
ahead.
said, she was here at this resident, and I put something was in the sink, and she was really a little bit perturbed with me at that point, you know. So I guess she was going to be a little bit out there. So I left something in the sink, and she flew out the room and said, "We not come wash up the sink thing there, hey boy." And I mean,
I didn't say that.
no, so I said, "One put a
No
mud
boy.
jelly, man."
Yes.
And then
that's
she
what I
was
said.
she had some bleach in some water with some
What?
pine salt, and all I saw was that coming in my face, dash. And she threw it on me, and of course my pastor friend, he came up and said, "Look, one of you guys have to, you know, leave, because otherwise somebody going to end up in a body
Get
bag."
hurt,
I'm like,
getting
"Rev, no,
hurt.
that won't happen, right?" So
Yeah.
Jackie said, "No worry, maybe leave." I mean, I'm saying, you don't have to leave. I'll leave. Then she called her sister, and then she started packing, and then that was it.
Right.
And then I told him before, it never happened that, like,
But
you know,
can
I
I
just
say
got up
something,
and
though?
threw something on him. I came back like 2 a.m. from North Carolina. It was my sister's 50th. And I came back like 2 a.m. from the airport. And the morning he got up, he said he was going to the gym. And then I said, okay, I'm going to clean up. And then I'll go to my gym and come back. And I started cleaning up. He came and he left. And I did everything in the house, cook and everything. And he used a bowl and he left it in the sink. So I said, Patrick, I've been cleaning up and doing so much work all day. You couldn't just wash the one bowl. I didn't say it any different from that. I said, just wash up the one bowl for me now. And he got upset. And it went from there. And, you know, there were other things triggering that. Like you said, you go back to that trigger, Lady
Oh
D.
yeah.
And
It don't take much, you know. When you have
yeah,
an
and he just blew up.
irritation with something, it don't take much.
Yes.
It don't take much. It's like you leave the gas on. You leave the gas on,
Yes,
and you come in,
true.
you click the light switch, and boom.
Yeah,
You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? So
Everything
it
blows.
don't
Yeah,
take much. It's like a slow simmer. It's a
yeah,
slow
yeah.
simmer, and it don't take much.
yeah.
It's a ticking time bomb, and you did the I came to I had to come to the realization. Two of my sisters have been divorced, and you know they're remarried and stuff. But when they were going through their divorce, I was, of course, you know, right in the midst of having the experience with them. And I realized that when it came down to that, the relationship had already died, you know. It did dead long time, you know.
Yeah.
They were just coexisting.
Yes.
But it
The
had
thing,
died. I
the
was
thing
I
is,
was naive enough to
Hold on,
think,
Jackie.
oh, then I only just have this, only no can just do so and
mhm,
so. And
Yeah.
that's when one of
Yeah.
them would have said, well, this did happen last year, this did happen so and so, this did happen. And then I realized that it was a long time coming.
You
Yes.
I
know,
don't
But you
believe
know,
Patrick
Sean,
believed that I would
Hold
leave.
on, guys. One at a time.
yeah,
Hold on.
can I go, or
Jackie,
Jackie?
you wanted to say something? Go ahead. Then after you, Patrick, you can go.
Jackie, Max, then Patrick. That's what the team
Oh,
said.
okay. I don't think
They
Patrick
keep
believed.
tab.
I don't think Patrick believed that I would leave, because I always say that I'm leaving. I would leave. I said to him one day, I said, the day I leave, I
Yes,
am not
that's
turning
it.
back. I said,
Mm-hmm.
I give somebody a
okay.
long rope, but the day
Well,
I
that
walk, I'm not turning back. So that
Yes.
day
well
when I
that
started
answers one
packing,
of
I
my
don't even
questions.
think he believed that I was really leaving. And
Mm-hmm.
that morning I had already gone to the storage. I got my storage key and everything. And I said, there's no turning back. Today's the day. I packed and
Okay.
packed. And Christmas Eve 2019, I was out.
Mm-hmm.
So
So go
Jackie,
ahead, Max. Mm-hmm.
That answers one of my questions because my last question was going to be, would you remarry? But you just give me the answer while I can say you're not turning back. Even
No,
though
I
you
wouldn't
say
turn
that
back. I wouldn't turn back to the
at that
house.
time.
To the house.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I wouldn't turn back to marriage. I believe
Right.
in marriage.
Okay. But but my question is, would you remarry Patrick? That's the question.
I don't think so.
Tough one, eh?
Patrick and
Huh?
I will be friends.
Okay. And
Okay,
that's a
so
fair.
the
Well,
answer is you would remarry.
some
But
people
then
are better
I
friends
also
than.
wanna yes. Yes. Sometimes you're better best friends when you divorce or when you
Yes,
break up.
and being
But the
together.
next point I want to go back to what Shauna said about not having 40 wonderful years. Now I've been married 30 odd years. 30, I think it's gonna be 36 in January. In
Wow.
December rather. And it's true, there's no wonderful year because now and then I've had some tough years. We had been through it. And sometimes when I look back, I can tell the years that we were great and good and the years that we had tough times, tough relationship, whether it be financial relationship, family relationship, whatever it is. But we all have had some years that were not great. And of course not. But what I do know too is that 80% of people do not care about your problems. 80% do not care about your problems, believe it or not. And 20% of people are happy that you have the problem that you have.
I don't
That's
not
a law.
here.
That's a fact. That's a study. That's a study. 80% do not care, and the other
Yes.
20% are happy that you have the problem.
So
Because
you're
if I
on
hear
your
about
own.
misery love company, misery
Mhm.
love company. The
Yes.
other point I want to make is when you have a situation or a problem, you don't have to tell it to the world. You have a counselor, you go to your counselor or your pastor, whatever, and you get your counseling, or you have a family member or two you confide in and tell them your problem, and they discuss and you get advice from them. You don't have
Yes.
to take up the phone and call the world and tell them, say, this is happening with them in my marriage, this is happening. No, I do not believe in that. I'm a very private person. I'm a very secretive person. And even if I know that you know this about me, don't think I'm going to take the phone and discuss it with you. No, I'm not going to. That's me. That's my policy, and that's how I live.
Yes.
Sorry, that's what I believe in. So I don't. I have a sister who confides in me. She tells me everything and anything. And I have other sisters who live in the same state with her, and she would not tell them. She confides in me because she knows the type of person I am. And you have to always in life have somebody, whether it be a pastor, your friend, your sister, a family member who you can confide in, who you can talk to, who you can go to. You don't have to discuss it with the world. You don't have to take it on a platform like this.
Yeah.
Kudos to Jackie and Patrick, and hats off to you for taking that issue here. Some people would have not done that. I personally would not do it. So I am grateful to you for putting it out here in the open.
I think so too.
I'm not that kind of a person. And that's fine with you. Not everybody would have done that. I personally would not have done that because it's just me. Individuals are individuals. We're all different and we all think differently and look at things differently. But
So let so our audience is a very important aspect of our show. Let's go through
anything from them.
Yes, we apologize. We have just been flowing here. Hold on a minute, Patrick. So this is my cousin Sue. She says, "Good morning. Interesting topic. If we cannot be transparent to each other in a relationship, if not, it's not going to work. Communication is key."
True.
Mary says, "Yes, Jackie. If not my husband, then who am I to be open with and joke around?" Here comes my brother. Wow, I think this couple should remarry. You stay over there, Mike.
Mike is a hopeless romantic, huh?
Arlene says, "Good morning to all of us." King says, "I would like to know, with all this, Sir Pat, where are you in the church at the time?" Oh, no. Yeah, they're not come out.
We're gonna leave.
People are people, you know.
So my cousin says, "Well, I'm sorry, but that's a brave stand up to you both. We, the younger generation, need all the advice to a healthier relationship." Absolutely. When your partner is jealous about the closeness of you and your family, that's trouble. So that's a next comment. Arlene says, "It's very important to take inventory of yourself, self-examination. People don't know what you have until it's gone. All Chris can say is wow."
Yeah, Chris. I don't
Yeah.
hear Chris say anything
Arlene
else.
says maturity has a lot to do with people. Age is just a number. Sometimes when people mess up, it make them it breaks them. Okay.
Yes.
Let's see what else we have here. All right, these two people. Okay, she says these two people have a testimony because they had a test. Indeed. Hey, Joel. Joel says a mutual relationship between two people needs an everyday interaction, transparency, and complete inspection of what we expect from each other on a daily basis. Absolutely.
True. Good points.
Um,
Good points. Yes.
all right, who else? Arlene believes you're strong, Jackie, because she knew what she wanted, so she dig deep before she leap. Okay. Minty says, what are the chances of both coming back together now that you both know your mistakes and now you know
Mm-hmm.
that you didn't do right on her part? And I applaud you both for being brave and stand up about this. Wonderful.
Yes.
She says also the grass is not greener out there. You may find
No.
the 10% you were missing with him or her, but not that 80%. One have to want to work on that 10%. Okay. Arlene says you're very nice, Patrick, but didn't know how to maintain a great relationship. Maybe he was hurting internally. Yes. Um, okay. King says, I'm so happy for this. Oh my gosh, thanks. Jackie and Sir Pat, thank you guys. And people are expressing, uh,
Mm-hmm.
of course, CEO is not here, slash co-producer. So he's sending love to Jackie and Patrick. You are God's wonderful children. You are encouraging many, believe it or not.
True.
Sandra
Honestly, you
says,
are.
good morning. I have known my husband for 43 years, married for 23 years. Never been easy all the time, but
Mm-hmm.
we talk about it and deal with it, pray about it, and we never go to bed angry. Joel says a sweet and
Yes.
beautiful relationship is what two people create each day towards each other, which means that a true husband and a true wife support to know each other likes and dislikes. Okay. Well, thank God for restoration. Amen. Now she says, now both of these two lovely people are so happy to share their past with the world. May God continue to bless you. I love you guys. And, people are expressing. Joel says the sweetest relationship between two people as life's partner is when they create an environment of joyful living and intimacy towards each other. It's important to know your partner likes and dislikes. Absolutely. Yes. All right. So these are the comments, and we'd like to thank you for sharing. If you're just joining us, Patrick and Jackie, they were married and they are now divorced, and they have chosen to share with us. I think Sharon's had a technical issue there, so she fell off, but I'm sure she will be
Yeah,
back.
yeah. I know. She
But,
remember
you
she's at an
know,
event.
we are going to be wrapping up soon, but I'd like to remind all of us that at the foundation of a marriage is our commitment to God. It's a union, it's a covenant. And when that covenant is broken, it's a very difficult path to walk. I know people hurt when they go through divorce. It's not always easy. It's a life-changing experience, so I've been told. But I've also had people in my family who are divorced and it has not been easy. But I'd like to share with us Genesis 2:24. Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. This verse
Mm-hmm.
highlights the unity and commitment in a marriage. Ephesians 4:2-3 says, be completely humble and gentle, be patient, bearing with one another in love. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. A reminder to approach marriage with patience and love. Colossians 3:13-14. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. And over all these virtues, put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. And the takeaway,
Yes.
forgiveness is key in any relationship. And I'm just going to,
Absolutely.
I have two more.
Absolutely.
Proverbs 15, verse 1. A gentle answer turns away wrath,
The way
but a harsh
rats.
word
Yes.
stirs up anger.
Sorry.
The
Answer.
takeaway here,
Yes.
communication is vital in a marriage. And this verse encourages kindness in speech. And the last scripture I'd like to share, Ephesians 4 9 to 10. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them fall down, one can help the other up. What's the takeaway? A beautiful reminder of the strength found in partnership. And therefore, we thank you for coming on to share. It's
I
not
had
always
something.
easy, I am sure. And I'd like both of you to just share with us, yes, share with us what you would like people to learn from your experience.
Patrick, go ahead. You were going to say something
Yeah,
anyway.
well, if you'd asked me the question, what would I do differently? Is to number one is to have a better communication, and to be kinder. Because even up until today, I always refer Jackie, um, you know, the person who I know that is sweet, kind. My sister and I was just talking the other day, and I told her that, you know, I don't put anyone I've dated in the past or whatever above Jackie, because she comes with that special quality that is rare, and sometimes we're not able to see that. But what I would definitely do differently is to care more for her, and to be very careful of what I say, because words do have their
Hurt.
life. The Bible said there's
Yeah.
life and death in the power of the tongue.
Mm-hmm.
She has always been by my side. She has always supported me. And I always say, if the good outweighs the bad, then it's worth a try. But it didn't happen, and I know that she's a very progressive person, and I still love her even to this day, because I know what she brought to the table, and what she brought to my life was joy. I grew up without my father. He was never in my life. Jackie know that. Um, Nadine and I are the same dad, but he never really took care of us. And, sometimes that leave, an indelible mark in our lives, because especially male, they need their fathers, mother raised all these daughter and son by herself. And I'm not using that as an excuse,
Right.
because I am a better man today than I was then, and I'm single, and I'm staying that way until the Lord say otherwise.
Mm-hmm. And
Because
if I could just ask one question,
Mhm.
since the divorce, do you think you would need to sit with a counselor just to go through that post phase and to prepare yourself for your next partner?
Oh, I'm open to that, of
Yes,
course,
okay. So
absolutely.
call me.
Wonderful.
Right.
All right, because it's important to have change and to maintain change, because
Yes.
most people
Yes.
are addicts, and they say they're changed, but they're not. So
Mhm.
you want to do that, and you know I remember I was talking to Dr. Brown recently, and he was saying, "Boy, I'm really proud of you, because you're making some strides in your life." Because I was rough, and
Mhm.
you, lady, do you know that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I had some rough edges, but
Yeah, me see you up on the radio and on New
Lord
York. Yeah.
Jesus. But I and as I said, and that's why I said, want it, can't get it, and get it, no want it.
You know,
Yes.
Because
want it.
as I said, I'm sitting in my studio, and everything here is, you know, is Jackie, who was the force behind me, pushing me. And so I don't think I'll find anybody like her again that has that drive to say, hey, let's do this. Don't worry about it. We get it done. It was never about money for her or education or you're better than me, I'm better than you. She never see me that way.
Right.
Saw us together as one. I remember one time I had to go to court, and Jackie took off from work, and you know, those things made me emotional.
Yes.
Because she went to when Keisha had me, you know, innocently going to court for child support, and everybody thought I was wicked. And she came with me and she said to me, don't worry, this is going to be the day that you will never pay another child support in your life. And we walk out of that court. I was really blessed because she stood by me. Yeah. So, you know, it's a learning experience for everyone to remember to cherish the persons who come in your life and take the best care of them. And don't abuse them. Don't abuse them, because when you sit back and you realize what had walked away from you, you can't retrieve it again. So for those who are listening, it has been a learning experience for me, and I am sure that you'll take away something from this.
Yes, thank you, Patrick. Jax?
Very good.
I don't know. I don't know what to say that will, you know, be any different from what Patrick just said, because I would have said a person needs to look for the things that he just mentioned. But as a woman, open your eyes and don't be afraid to take as much time as you need to pay attention to little things, and not to nitpick on, you know, those little things, but remember, those little things can be the triggers that will escalate later.
Yes.
Yes, that's true.
Take
That's
the
a fact.
time, take as much time as you need to ask yourself many questions. Is this what I want? Is this where I want to go? Is this going to work for me? Is this, this is a lifelong journey. It's marriage, which should not be taken lightly. And one of the reasons why I entered into it with Patrick, because I've met many people, not necessarily dating many people, but met people who have asked me to be their partners. And I never pursued it. They have money, some have money, some rich, some poor. But it was never, like he said, it was never about money for me. And the fact that he was in the church, he was, you know, doing a lot of things, his singing and everything. And I thought that, you know, he and I could build something together. I want somebody who he and I can build something together. And I saw that, and there were little things that I noticed before that I ignored. I'm saying that, okay, I can overlook that. I can, you know, work around that. But sometimes these things come back and it hits you. So the toe-to-toe argument and so on, and I was never used to that. So that was new to me. And I became it. Toe-to-toeing, you know, like there's something that he blew up about. Yeah. And then I became that person just to defend myself, toe-to-toeing. And that didn't make for a pleasant life, a pleasant home, a pleasant relationship. It didn't. So I'm not going to say I regret marrying Patrick, because like you said, it's a learning experience. And we take little nuggets or take these things from one situation and hope that if and when we move into maybe another relationship. I'm single, and I'm happy. And I chose to be single because I was going to school. I was going to school. When I left New York, I decided, okay, I'm going to change careers. And let me tell you something that happened when I left New York. COVID hit. I went to visit my sister. I started to have pains down my left leg. And ended up, I got stuck in North Carolina with my sister when I went to visit her because they locked down New York. I couldn't come back. I only had one suit on my back because I went for a weekend. I didn't go there to stay. And I ended up doing 2 spinal surgeries there.
Wow.
Laying on my back, recover. My sister was excellent. You know, she took great care of me. But they said that when I woke up out of one of the surgeries, which was 5.5 hours long, the nurse said, "Is your husband here?" I said, when I really, came back to and asked, what's she talking about? Is my husband here? This is North Carolina. Nobody in North Carolina knows about my life or my husband or whatever. She said, "Is your husband here?" And I said, "No, I don't have a husband." She said, "When you woke up, when you were coming out of the anesthesia, you said, 'I want my husband.'"
Oh, Lord.
And I started crying because I'm saying, I said that.
Yes.
And she said, "Yes. So we were calling your sister because they had my sister's number. We were calling your sister to find out if your husband was coming." Because all this took place in North Carolina. He's in New York. Now we're separated and I'm there and all of that. They said, the lady said, "You asked, I want my husband."
So
Coming out of the
in the deep recesses of your mind, you are still connected to him.
Yeah, this was 2020, the last surgery I did on my back. And I'm saying I went through all this recovery without somebody there to hold my hand.
Right.
I did a surgery removing some hernia from my first surgery I did from my navel.
Yes.
And I was in New York at the time. And my husband came and he didn't stay. I was in the place by myself, in the surgery center by myself. And my cousin came and stayed with me. And then she brought me home. So those things added up to all this. So pay attention to your partner. Be there for them.
Yeah.
When they said for in sickness and in health.
Same so.
Yes, that's what it means. Yes.
In sickness and in health. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be whole your whole life. You're not going to be whole. Something is going to happen. It could be something simple. And if the person cannot stand with you for something simple, when something major happens, what's going to happen?
Going to be there.
Yeah.
So,
so
well, I thank you. Yes.
We have to be mindful. Patrick, there was always 100% love for you. That never failed.
Yes.
It's a different kind of love now, but it's still there. I hope that we can, be friends. Like I said, Lady D, I weighed my mind doing the show because I had just found myself gotten over that pain just recently. I don't know where it came from. Maybe I slept and woke up one morning and it's like I felt like I was truly, my heart was free from that heaviness and that anger. So when you asked me to do this, I said, it's like I just stepped right back and saying, am I ready for this show? But I am ready. And I can tell you this morning that I have no animosity. I have no hate.
Right.
I hope that next time I visit New York, we can go sit down and eat a meal and we sit and talk and laugh.
Yes.
And, but it's going to be that we'll be friends. You need advice, you can call me and speak to me, but I don't think we can be, married partners again. And I'm not saying that with any kind of hate or animosity. I just think that it's the best thing.
Right. Well, we want to, I tell you something, um, I recently said to my husband that marriage is no walk in the park joke. And it's not
No,
because
it's not.
I'm experiencing anything negative, but I realized the day to day, the marriage, the wedding was wonderful. We can have all the wedding we want in the world,
Yes,
but it is
but
the
that's not the marriage.
daily commitment
Mm-hmm.
of step. I was a hurdler as an athlete. So I had to say, well, I guess I will be jumping many more. And I did very well at it. I could clear a hurdle like a little bird, but it's the day to day. Am I willing? That's a question we all should ask. Am I willing to do the give and take portion? Because some of us not ready for it. But we
No.
want to thank you
Mm-hmm.
both. And Patrick, again, I thank you for agreeing to be on the show. And I thank you for saying yes, if I can make recommendations for you, because no matter what, the divorce has taken place. And, it's good to talk, it's good to share and not be afraid to share, because that's where your release comes from.
Yeah, you're healing.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
where healing
Yes.
comes from. And there is a program that my church offers. It's called an Encounter God Weekend. I tell anybody, and it's not a one stop shop now, but I tell anybody, if you go to that encounter, you will have an encounter with God. And the next time we're hosting one, I'd like to invite you. Or seriously, anybody should come to that encounter. It's a remarkable program. And before Evel and I got married, I was talking about encounter, and he was with him both himself. Oh, I've been to men's conference. Enough in my head. I'm like, but you never been to an encounter, Master. And so, but I took my time and I encouraged him, because he too had some hurdles to, jump over.
Sorry, guys. I have to jump off and take this call.
Yes, darling. So we're wrapping up. But I had to say to him, hey, um, go. And he went, and man, did he get an encounter? He had to say that was not the men's conference. I'm like, no. So we all need at some point in time that kind of experience. And there are people in relationships for some reason or the other, whether it is their own decision, either not to want to marry, or they're looking for the perfect and the right person, and the expectations and the this and the that. But I can tell you that when you do that, if you are with someone, it is going to take you a longer time to actually say, let me marry you, or let me walk hand in hand with you. And they will be there hanging on forever. And the request will never come. So think on these things. And so as we wrap up, both of you, I want to say love is a journey. And this is for all of us. Love is a journey, not just a feeling. It requires patience, understanding, and a willingness to grow, both individually and together. A truly strong relationship is built on kindness, communication, and the daily choice to uplift one another. Care for your partner, not just in the grand gestures, but in the small, quiet moments, the thoughtful text, the listening ear, the embrace after a long day. Love is found in the details, in the willingness to see and support each other fully. Above all, remember that love thrives in honesty, respect, and grace. No relationship is perfect, But with effort and intention, we can create something truly beautiful. Keep choosing love, keep showing up, and keep nurturing the bond that connects. You are both worthy of the love you give and receive. 1 Corinthians 13:4-7 says, love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no, always hopes, always perseveres. This verse beautifully captures the essence of love and kind, the kind that endures and uplifts. Keep holding on to love, everybody, in its purest form. God is
Amen.
love.
Amen.
So we want to thank everyone for choosing to be
Thank
here
you,
with
Liz.
us today.
Yes, I must thank I saw some of my purple sisters from my high school jumped in. And I'm so appreciative of them to jump in, just clicking on the link and jumping in, Michelle and Michelle, two Michelles.
Wonderful.
This May, we'll be going to Jamaica to give back to our school, the end of May. And it's something that we're really looking forward to because we're building them a brand new gate. And I'm so happy to be a part of it. So
Yes.
I just use that little time to put that little nugget in there. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Jackson, Patrick.
Thank you, Patrick.
And
Yes.
to Sharon
Thank you.
and Max, they had to go off, but we had to wrap up. So we want to
Yeah,
thank
man.
you. Looking forward for next week. Let's see what we're going to pop out again right here on Satideh Mawnin Runnings at 10. Blessings, everybody. We love you. We love you. So we
God
say
bless. Have a good day.
we're out.
They say it takes two to tango. But what happens when the music stops and the dance falls apart? This Saturday at 10 a.m., Satideh Mawnin Runnings dives deep into the raw, unfiltered reality of relationships with the topic Life Unscripted. We're talking about marriage, breakdowns, not just the surface drama, but the real stuff underneath. The patterns, the silence, the unmet needs. Even more powerful, this week we ask, what if divorced couples sat down to unpack what went wrong? Not to point fingers, but to understand. What if we stopped pretending and started talking? Join us for a conversation that's real, that's revealing, and maybe even healing. Saturday, April 26th at 10 a.m. on Satideh Mawnin Runnings. Log on to Instagram at Lady Denise Gomez, Facebook Inside the Zone, Facebook Lady D Denise Gomez, or on YouTube Inside the Zone with Lady D. Let's talk. Hope to see you then. Ta-ta.
Celebrate the heartbeat of Caribbean culture with Satideh Mawnin Runnings. Join us on Saturdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube as we showcase the vibrant heritage of Jamaica and the wider Caribbean with 4 incredible women, Sherns, Max, Jackie, and me, Lady D. From powerful stories to cultural traditions, we're bringing the flavor, rhythm, and excellence of the Caribbean straight to you. It's more than a show, it's a celebration of the roots and traditions that inspire and unite us. Subscribe to Inside of the Zone with Lady D on YouTube and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn to stay connected every Saturday at 10 a.m. It's Satideh Mawnin Runnings. come feel the vibes. Satideh Mawnin Runnings, where Caribbean heritage comes alive.
Can you feel the vibe? Give me that beat.